Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Mastering the Drop, a real view of recovery. This week's topic is a very awesome topic. It's really about stepping into ourselves and acknowledging the journey that takes us there or got us there, and it helps us really celebrate ourselves at a level or in a fashion that we would probably not normally. Anyway, I can't wait for you guys to join us in this conversation. I have a very special friend of mine, a longtime friend. We haven't been in the same space for some time, but Necole and I met some time ago, I'd say early on in the pandemic.
Yes.
One of those first relationships of, hey, this is really cool. Like, we're all out here getting to know each other. And Necole's with Faded Living, but I'm going to let her introduce herself. Necole,
Hey.
hello.
Hi, how are you doing? Oh my goodness, thank you so much for having me today.
Oh, it's my
I'm
pleasure.
Yay, I'm happy to be here. Hi everyone. I will, give you a little quick spiel about who I am. I am Necole Hines. I live out in Vancouver, BC, Canada, and I founded a company called Faded Living. Basically, when I first started this company, it was to normalize the use of cannabis. But as I have progressed with this company, I have also started to get into herbal education and really starting to study all the other different herbs. Cannabis, I consider a herb as well because I cook with it. That's a lot of the education that I teach. But I also have been gardening this summer. And so learning about the benefits of other herbs, I kind of am including cannabis in the mix of things and teaching people how you can incorporate herbs into your daily life to help with wellness and bringing balance to your days. So that's pretty much what I've been trying to do with the company. And I've done it in a few different ways. I offer workshops mainly through food because that's one of the great ways to kind of teach people how to infuse herbs into their lives with especially in ways that can reduce sugar intake, because I find that in a lot of infusions that are out on the market, there is a high sugar intake with input when it comes to some of the pastries, etc., right? And so I teach people how to create infusions to make savory dishes so that the sugar intake is low, if not completely non-existent, and you realize that you can add it to your day, whether it's like creating an infused salad dressing, either using lavender or thyme or cannabis, and you can really kind of add it throughout your day. So that's one of the ways that I have spread the message through my company. And another way that I've done it is through a podcast. So I do have a podcast called Faded Living and Friends, where I've chatted with a diverse group of people in the cannabis space from all various backgrounds, really spanning the globe. I've had some guests from the UK, the US, Canada, basically kind of sharing what they do in the space and how they're connected to the plant, etc. So those are the two main ways that I've been able to share how you can incorporate plants and herbs to your life.
Well, I love it. And Necole, as you know, and for those that don't know it, they will be getting to know more about it. But I'm super passionate about, the how we fuel our body and what we use and what we put in and the effectiveness of it, and knowing how to hear what our body is telling us that it needs, because it's not something that you're going to find in some fad diet or routine. Although that may work for some people, it doesn't work completely. The efficacy of it varies from individual to individual, and we all have to know our own tweaks. But all of us benefit from reducing and or removing refined sugars from our life. And there are so many different things that we can use instead of, right? Instead of, in place of, that are so much more beneficial. But we are going to, and in the next few months, we are going to be talking a lot about it as we roll into a new release that has just always been a very private sector of people that I work with. but will be releasing for, you know, anybody that so chooses, but loving your physical body will be a new program that will be being released, and we'll be doing all kinds of work on what we put in our bodies, the fuel that we use, but also the mental health piece that comes along with that for a lot of different individuals, right? So it's not always just food addiction or sugar addiction. A lot of times there's body dysmorphia, body image is a big deal. It's very near and dear to my heart as somebody who lives with body dysmorphia, but also has survived anorexia and food addictions. And also and Necole, as you know, right, all of the autoimmune that I have, I don't even think I shared this with you, but I've been off all medications completely. And I've managed to do that through my dietary practices as well as, of course, my mental health and the practices that I engage in every day. So lots of good things that you and I can again have more and more conversations about, but also just ways for people to experience life recovery. Right? Like so many people think, oh, they hear, turning leaves, recovery, life and wellness, right? They think it's, the traditional, recovery, but it's life recovery because there are so many things, right? But anyway, I'm definitely not trying to get into a shameless plug because, I know a lot about your story. And I know, of course, obviously my story of how we stepped into our ability to have what I consider communication elegance, right? That space that we one day just found ourselves arriving at, and that was with this newfound courage and ability to express, through generosity, our strengths that gave us that amazing confident voice to continue to speak up and to speak out and to share effectively with those other people that we encounter. But other people don't know your journey of how you stepped into this space. So I think it'd be really cool if if you shared a little bit of those, maybe the top 3 things that, well, maybe how you where you came from, and then maybe those top 3 things that really stand out that allow you to continue to acknowledge yourself.
Absolutely. One of the first things, honestly, the catalyst to it all was a car accident. A car accident 8 years ago was the main catalyst. At that time, I was operating a food business. So I loved food. I was running a food business, but I was in an indoor farmers market year round. So the beauty about being in that world was that I was amongst farmers. It was really important to use really great fresh ingredients. I had a really good connection with, farm to table type stuff, right? So that was really wonderful. And the cuisine that I tended to do primarily was Jamaican fusion because my parents are Jamaican. I'm Canadian born, but my parents are Jamaican. And I kind of like played off of, played homage to my background and kind of incorporated that. But also, even though like the business had a meat focus, like I really, focused on chicken wings, and I dealt with organic meat or halal meat and that and stuff. But I had a huge vegetarian following because I created a lot of amazing salads. I created some pastries that had like really amazing vegetable fillings. So I was doing really great, but that accident really shifted how I could work. I couldn't physically work in the same way. And of course, as you know, if you've been in any kind of accident or had to deal with any kind of pain, the options out there to manage that pain, for me, wasn't the route that I wanted to go, right? So I didn't want to go the route of pharmaceuticals. I didn't want to go the route of opioids and all of that. I am lucky that I didn't have anybody in my family that had went through any issues, but at the time of the accident, there was a lot of information out there, a lot of documentaries out there about the crisis that had happened, the opioid crisis. And I just kind of didn't want to take advantage of that. And so I'm in Canada, and Canada has had a medical cannabis program since like 2000 or 2002. So in our country, it was like a really robust program of which like I wanted to go plant medicine. And that was the first plant that I wanted to use to kind of support me with my pain management. And it really did help because before I even made that decision, I will preface, like, I had to take something like over the counter, like Motrin and stuff like that, because the pain was intense, right?
Significant, sure.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, I'm a human. Like, I mean, I mean, I'm a mother. Yes, I've dealt with pain, but like, I didn't want to deal with it like that. And I will say that by taking Motrin several times a day, what was happening was I was getting stomach pains. So then I had to go to the doctor and get medication to counteract the medication that I was taking. And then it just didn't make sense. And that's kind of where, like, for me, I was already connected to the plant, but what I didn't realize is how multifaceted the cannabis plant is. Because a lot of times the stigma of that plant is it only does one thing, make you
Right.
lazy, da 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 da. But then you realize that the plant can actually, just like with many other plants, they do have their benefits, but you can actually direct a lot of herbal, plants and such to do what you'd like it to do. Cannabis is one of them. And so, in the past, maybe I was using it to relax and just enjoy life. And in this time, I was using it to help with my pain management, and it did exactly that.
Which I think is super fascinating. And if we look back 8 years and being in the US, right? Um, one, I think that it's amazing that there was already a robust program there.